Hi, everyone. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about a concept called given probability. Given probability is sometimes referred to as conditional probability. And conditional probability refers to the chances that some outcome occurs given that another event has already occurred. So that key word there is given. All right. So the notation for A given B is written as the probability of A line B. That line means given. So whenever you see this line, I want you to write down given. So the formula for conditional probability is as follows. The probability of A given B. So again, we're going to write that every time we see this line means given. So the probability of A given B is equal to the probability of A and B. Remember that symbol means and, right? This symbol here means and. So the probability of A and B over the probability of B, or the second thing. So the thing that's in here is the thing that goes on the bottom. All right, so let's use the formula in an example. So example number 1 says, Andrea is a very good student. The probability that she studies and passes her mathematics test is 0.85. So I'm just going to write things down as I read them. So the probability that she studies and passes her test. So probability that she studies and, symbol for and, passes her test. I'm going to use S for studies and P for passes. So the probability that she studies and she passes is 0.85. Now I'm going to keep reading. If the probability that Andrea studies is 0.9375. So just the fact that she studies, so probability that she studies is 0.9375. They want to find the exact probability that she passes her math test given that she has studied. So we want to find the probability that she passes given that she studies. So let's write that in symbol form. We want the probability that she passes given that she studies. So all we're going to do now is just look at this formula, and instead of A's and B's, we're going to put P's and S's. So every time I see an A, we're going to put a P. Every time I see a B, we're going to put an S. So the probability of P given S is going to equal the probability of P and S over the probability of the second, the probability of S. So let's see if we have enough information to fill in. So we have the probability of P and S, that was given to us as 0.85, so we can go ahead and do that. And the denominator is the probability that she studies, which we have, so that's 0.9375. So all you have to do to get the answer is just to put this divided by this into your calculators. So go ahead, pause the video and do that, and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. All right, so your final answer in fraction form should be 68 over 75. Why I put it in fraction form was because the question was asking for exact probability, so that means we need to express our answer as a fraction. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. So suppose that in a certain part of the world, in any 50-year period, the probability of a major plague is 0.39. So I'm just going to highlight what I have. Probability of a plague is 0.39. The probability of a major famine is 0.52. And the probability of both a plague and a famine is 0.15. They want to know what is the probability of famine, so the blue, given the fact that there is a plague. All right, so let's write down what we know. We've got the probability of a major plague, I'll put P for plague, is 0.39. The probability of a major famine, I'll use F for famine. So probability of a famine is 0.52. And the probability of both a plague and a famine, so probability of plague and famine is 0.15. I want to know what is the probability of famine, so probability of famine given line that there is a plague, P for plague. So to fill out this formula, we need to know the original formula, which is probability of A given B is the probability of A and B over the probability of the second, or the probability of B. This was the formula that we put on the first page. So pretty much everywhere we see an A, we're going to put an F, and everywhere we see a B, we're going to put a P. So the probability of famine given plague will equal the probability of famine and plague over the probability of the second, which is plague, right? B, the second, P. So let's see what we have. We have the probability of famine and plague, which is 0.15, and we have the probability of plague, which is 0.39. So we're going to put that on the bottom. And to get the answer, all we have to do is divide these two things. Now, some of you might be noticing, well, there's extra information, this probability of famine of 0.52. And that's correct. So it's really important that you have the right formula down so that you know what you divide by, right? You divide by the second, not dividing by the first. So if they give you this extra information, it's really just so that they know, do you know the formula and how to apply it? So go ahead, type this into your calculator and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. All right, so reduced form, you should get 5 over 13. And that's it, that's your probability. All right, if you guys have any questions, now's a good time to jot them down. Otherwise, we'll see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night.